The problem with the Vatican, well, there's many problems with it, but its history has been plagued with problems. And yet, a lot of people that are Roman Catholic will say, yes, so much comes against us, and God has not let us be destroyed. However, no, God has let things be destroyed. But then the parishioners keep saying, God, nothing will come against us. Yeah, God didn't want you calling anybody father. So there's so many things. God did not want Mother Mary raised up. There's so many. I've done videos about this. It's a waste of time, really. It is. All of these things that people are talking about on social media, the people back in the beginning were talking about all this stuff that was problematic. People that were definitely more knew the Bible better than a lot of people these days. And yet the Vatican also has roots into organized crime. So it literally the underworld. And then when they come out and try to distance themselves from that, then they get bombed by the underworld. So do you see where there's a problem here, where you got Joe Kennedy, who had ties to the syndicate, more wanting to protect the Irish syndicate, okay? And then you have also them having ties to, the Vatican, but then it goes before Kennedy. Kennedy was just the first Catholic president to get in. The mafia's strong ties to Roman Catholicism stem from the Italian-American experience, where Catholicism played a central role in the lives of immigrants. Many mobsters identified as Catholics, using religious rituals and symbols to navigate their criminal activities while maintaining a connection to their cultural heritage. So see, then when your your denomination has this history, and other denominations have had some problems, but nothing. The Catholic one has a major child abuse problem, massive. It's really why I don't understand why people suddenly come out and said, well, I decided to become a Catholic because it most resonated with me. What, child abuse most resonated with you? Sorry, but that's my thought, and I was born and raised Catholic. Nothing against the Catholics, just saying there's so many red flags that want to be ignored, because the dictator, which is always the popes, and do some of them have good intentions? A bunch of people would say this one had good intentions, and they'll say that Catholics, going back to Peter, right, and the first church, but it's not recognized. Like, what fruits keep coming from it? Again, going back to what are the fruits? Stop with the rituals, and what fruits keep coming out of it? I mean, the very fact that the popes and the bishop, they all look like Pharisees, they dress like them, and Jesus mocked that, doesn't seem to be a concern to anybody. But when it's tied to also being a church that's been used for organized crime, then these are all red flags. Although some popes have come out and then they raise the issue to try to get away from the organized crime, and then this stuff happens. Yeah, the mafia's last gasp against the Catholic Church. 30 years ago, organized crime in Italy bombed the Basilica of St. John, Lateran, the Cathedral of the Bishop of Rome. Now, and then Catholics will say, see, hell comes up against us. It's like, sometimes you have to recognize when God's not protecting you. So hell has come up against it because God has allowed it. Because otherwise, there would not be a massive child abuse problem, pandemic child abuse problem in it. Now, they supposedly are cleaning up their act, but they always are saying that. If they really were, like, there needs to stop being, like, it's one thing if your community church has obviously a head leader that you shouldn't call father, okay, but has a pastor, I get that stuff. But this hierarchy thing has always been part of the problem, too. And then there's this, and how true this is, I don't know. So then when you get Kennedy in, okay, and people would say, oh, everybody just needs to stop being anti-Catholic. I think people would be fine with that, except, what, and that's why I said in my last video, this is one of those things where you have to do your due diligence. Like, I don't think most Americans would elect somebody that said, I practice the Satan religion. But just because they don't say it's Satan doesn't mean that they're not beholden to that. Because, and this is why they say there should be no religious tests in America. And I get it. But this is where it always falls. And I think Jesus knew that it would. Maybe why he didn't have a whole lot of contact with the government. Or I mean, didn't just basically said give Caesar's what is Caesar's, because Caesar ain't gonna change. Is because until he returns, this is what you live under. It just is, and so there's always going to be this problem when it comes to you're always in this world going to be met with things that test your that want to try to test your integrity when it comes not just to faith but your beliefs. And we very much now live in a world where people are totally fine with sacrificing integrity, doing the right thing. I mean, it's like it's nothing for people to just no. I'm going to go with the crowd and not do the right thing. I mean, that's everywhere now. So yeah, it matters what, because if you believe in the Bible, it's very different than a lot of religions. So I'm not saying to be not open to religion, but I think what the foundation began with there should be protections there. I know people would disagree, but so this, whether this is true, what it says here is that in 1871, the United States President and the United States Congress has been playing politics, or since 1871, excuse me, has been playing politics under a different set of rules and policies. The American people do not know that there are two constitutions in the United States. The first penned by the leaders of the newly independent states of the United States in 1776 on July 4th. The people claimed their independence from the crown. And then it says in parentheses, temporal authority of the Roman Catholic Pope, and democracy was born. And for 95 years, the United States people were free and independent. That freedom ended in 1871 when the original Constitution for the United States of America was changed to the Constitution of the United States of America in big, bold letters. The Congress realized that the country was in dire financial straits, so they made a financial deal with the devil, the Crown, aka City of London Corporation, established by the Catholic Church on January 1st, 1855, thereby incurring a debt to the Pope. The convening Pope and his bankers were not about to lend the floundering nation any money without some serious stipulations. So they devised a way of taking back control of the United States, and thus the Act of 1871 was passed, with no constitutional authority to do so. Congress created a separate form of government for the District of Columbia. With the passage of the Act of 1871, a city-state, a state within a state, called the District of Columbia, located on 10 square miles of land in the heart of Washington, was formed with its own flag and its own independent constitution. The heart of Washington was formed, at the United States secret second constitution. The flag of Washington's District of Columbia has 3 red stars, each symbolizing a city-state within the 3-city empire. The 3-city empire consists of Washington, D.C. The D.C. stands for the District of Columbia, then City of London Corporation, and Vatican City State, City of London Corporation. Is the corporate center of the 3 city-states and controls the world economically. Washington, D.C. is in charge of the military, and the Vatican controls it all under the guise of spiritual guidance. So, you can believe this. Many people think it's a conspiracy. I don't think we really should think that conspiracies are so far off anymore. I don't know. The Pope, is he dead yet?